All right, and welcome back to our NBA season previews. We're going to be doing the Minnesota Timberwolves today. With me, as always, for NBA content is Jared Prosser. This is Trey Dalbert. So, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were really, really bad last year, did not have their own draft pick, so that kind of complicates matters. Bit of a weird offseason. They gave up on the guy they took ahead of Steph Curry. Seems like maybe an odd move.
Ahead of Steph Curry.
Yeah, Ricky Rubio. They drafted Ricky Rubio
Oh,
and Steph
God.
Curry.
Geez, I'd forgotten about that. I was thinking they gave up on Johnny Flynn a decade ago. God. He even came and played out here in Australia for a while and frankly wasn't that good.
Yikes.
It threw me for a second there. But that's what happens. You mentioned the T-Wolves were bad last season. That could be the intro to a season preview for any of the last 10 years for the T-Wolves. Oh, they were bad last season. No shit, they're always bad. So 23 wins, the equivalent of 26 in a normal season. So either way, they sucked. They missed the playoffs. They missed the play-in. As always, they missed everything.
They missed Kevin Garnett even.
Oh, man. Jeez, what would they give for a 25-year-old Kevin Garnett right now? Well, to be fair, what would any team give for a 25-year-old Kevin Garnett right now? But 25th in offense, 28th in defense. That pretty much tells the story. Before their big mid-season trades, they were even worse in offense. Gerson Rosas, he clearly had an image for this team that they were going to be this overwhelming offensive juggernaut based around Towns, but it clearly didn't work. Rosas took a lot of risks in building this team. Trading the pick that became Jonathan Kuminga for one. He's made some real errors with draft picks. You mentioned Culver. He wasn't good. He just really wasn't good. There's been so many. He wasn't there for long, and he's picked up some good players in trades, but the image that he has clearly just hasn't worked. There is something there, I think, but however Rosas was doing it, it just wasn't working. Even outside of his extramarital affair, it was reported that he was on the chopping block with the new owners anyway, and I think that's pretty fair. I don't think it's a good run. Edwards was a bit of a maligned pick. A lot of people expected LaMelo to be the number one pick, and as much as LaMelo got Rookie of the Year, that second half of Edwards' season was just outstanding. He almost stole Rookie of the Year based on 30 games. He ended Yuta Watanabe's life in one dunk against Toronto. I don't know whether we can link that into this when we add our videos over the top, but man, that dunk was just incredible. So you mentioned the ins and outs. Not a lot of work done in the off season, mostly because of what they did with those big trades with Denver, that big 4 or 5-way trade, whatever it was. They did get rid of Rubio, brought in Taurean Prince from Cleveland in that trade. They traded Juancho Hernangomez and the aforementioned Culver to bring in Patrick Beverley, which low-key could be a really good signing for them, just in attitude, if not what he does on the floor. And they also brought over the Argentine Leandro Bolmaro, who was their first-rounder last season. They got him out of his Barcelona contract. So, again, not any huge, big, earth-shattering moves, but they've played their cards. The team they have now is what they have.
In terms of the key player, I guess Karl Anthony Towns is the face of the franchise, but it's time for them to start winning games with him as the face of the franchise.
Yeah, and I do feel for Cat. I mean, he's never had stable ground in Minnesota. Between GM changes and constant trades and coaching changes, he's had more coaches than seasons in Minnesota, which is just absurd.
That's a stat.
It's something like 8 seasons and 9 coaches. When you throw in interims, 9 coaches. He had Flip Saunders, who he was incredibly close with, die. Everything, and then you throw in all the stuff that's happened to him personally with his family. He lost his mother and multiple other members of his family to COVID. He himself suffered quite dramatically from COVID. Cat's he's had a tumultuous time. For him to still be producing the way he does, he's a 25-10 guy with a block. With apologies to Dirk, Cat might be the best shooting big man of all time. Dirk reinvented the game for 7-footers, but Cat has taken it even further with the volume that he shoots from the outside. I think he will get back, health permitting. We'll see how COVID has affected him. I think he'll get back to his borderline All-NBA best. When you're looking at Gobert and Embiid and Jokic and all these guys, it's hard to say he will be All-NBA, but I think he'll be in the conversation. I think he'll have a bounce back year. I am looking for him to improve on defense incrementally. He needs to protect the rim a little bit more. It just needs to be harder. It needs to be tougher on defense. He's frankly a little bit soft at that end.
Carl Anthony Cantor.
That's good. I like that one. Well, the thing is, though, Cantor is a hard bastard on defense. He just can't move.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Towns has got reasonable agility and he's got good athleticism, but whether it's a lack of instincts, which I doubt, I think it's more just effort. And considering the offensive load he's got to carry and everything that goes on around him, I can't blame him for taking the hard plays off. But if this team wants to win, he's got to step up as the leader of both ends of the floor.
I'm curious to see who you have as the X factor for this team.
Oh man, you could pick any of about 8.
Yeah.
But I've gone with D'Lo, who's
okay.
So yeah, D'Angelo Russell. Look, we know what he is by this point. He's a very good scorer, a very good pick and roll scorer in particular. To be honest, he can work a pick and roll to get his shots better than most people in the league. He's not the elite facilitator that everyone was hoping for when he got drafted with the second pick.
Nor is he a good defender.
No, he's a pronounced minus on defense.
Yeah.
He's big and he's reasonably strong, but man, I'm 43 with bad knees and a bad back, and I think I'm faster east-west than him. He is still a good player. Like, he's much maligned, and he's not what people were hoping for, but he's still really good. That's the thing. He's not a bad basketballer by any means. He's a very good NBA player. He's just not the elite player that people were expecting. 19 points, 6 assists, a tick over a steal a game, about 39% from deep. If I just gave you those stats, you go, oh, that's a reasonable point guard. Even if he does only play one end, that's a reasonable point guard. Now, they should only get better playing a full season with Cat, because that's the one thing. They haven't played together consistently in the NBA. They, of course, played together before the NBA. And he's got an improved lineup around him. If Beasley can stay healthy and not get in legal issues, and Edwards, who has grown a couple of inches and is now a much more natural 3-man rather than a 2-man, you throw in those guys. Even McDaniels is a reasonable shooter for a big. You're throwing those guys around him, and he should improve on those numbers. I don't know whether he'll improve defensively. I just don't know if he's got it in him. If he can, and he was brought in because he is a mate of Karl Anthony Towns as well. They're really close. If he can be a factor in helping Cat find some happiness, find some serenity in Minnesota, he's probably worth the money they're paying him just there, because Cat is the main man and they need him happy.
It feels like he hasn't necessarily performed the same way that he did in that kind of weird miracle run in Brooklyn either.
Yeah, well, he was the main man in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And it was still a much weaker Eastern Conference then. The top end of the East wasn't the same as it is now. So he's not that dodgy one-time All-Star on a Jamal McGlaw level. I mean, that was just preposterous.
That run is what got Golden State those 2 picks, though.
Absolutely. Look, D'Lo's good. He's not great, but he's good. And I think he's maligned more against expectations than against performance. But having said that, I think he will improve on offense. I hope he improves on defense. I don't see it. But, I've been proven wrong before.
In terms of the in-season storyline, what are you maybe looking forward to this year?
How this offense clicks. The one thing we haven't mentioned is that mid-season, they went and poached Chris Finch from the Raptors. And he is, by all reports, an offensive genius with the whiteboard. He is the guy that can just create plays out of nothing, can find ways to mesh all these different pieces. And you look at the pieces in this starting 5. We mentioned Russell, who is a very, very good shooter, very, very good creator of his own shots out of the pick and roll. Edwards is a nuclear athlete who showed increased passing chops as the season went on. Beasley's a wonderful catch and shoot player who's got a bit of go off the bounce. He reminds me a little bit of a young Eric Gordon at times. Cat is, of course, is Cat the best offensive center in the league? It's him or Jokic, I would have thought. I personally think it's Nikola Jokic, but
Jokic.
The fact that you have to stop and think shows how good Cat is on offense.
That's still going B2.
Sorry?
That's still going B2.
As a more complete player, yeah, definitely Embiid. But I think on purely offense, I'd probably have Towns just ahead of him. But you even look at McDaniels. 6'9", runs like a gazelle, can get up and catch a lob, can hit the odd three. He's a really good fill in the blanks type of player to have around those four. So if Finch can find a way to make all of that fit, then he's got himself a really, really potent five. I mean, like we said, they finished 25th in offense last season. They can there is a top 10 offense in amongst that unit of five. If Chris Finch can find a way to drag that out of him, then Minnesota will be much, much improved. Defensively, they'll still be god awful, but as a team, if they can improve their offense to the point of that potential, they'll be a lot better.
I'm curious to see what your prediction is for the Timberwolves, because I'm at the point where as soon as I see their logo, I automatically assume they will suck regardless of which players they have on the court. So I will go with they will suck this year.
Yeah, they're like the Kings, but in the snow, aren't they?
Yeah.
Look, Vegas's line for them is 34.5, and that's a great line. I really struggle.
Okay.
I like this line. I think it's a really good line. I think I'm going with 35. I'm going to go the over by a half game. But of course, when you're going a half game, you're not saying it with a whole lot of confidence. I just think that a season of Finch, and more importantly, a preseason for Finch to put in his philosophies with this team, increased health.
Still not good enough to be a playoff team.
No, I think they will miss the playoffs. They might make the play-in. And if they do, over a 2-game series, I wouldn't want to play them. If they just have 2 games where 3 of those 5 get hot, they can cause an upset. They could also get into a play-in game and lose 140-90. So, if nothing else, it'll be fun to watch. I think Minnesota is on the right track. They do need some stoppers. They need that big 5 on offense to develop a little bit more defensive backbone. I do think that Cat returns to All-NBA consideration. I don't think he makes All-NBA, but I think he returns to that conversation. Edwards will get All-Star consideration, I think, as well. Cat will be an All-Star. But they will have nights where they bloody the noses of the big boys. They'll just have nights where everything drops and they'll take the odd upset win. But then at the same time, they'll probably split their season series with OKC. This team will have a real Jekyll and Hyde feel to it.
Yeah. Last thing before we wrap this up, if Minnesota's bad again, we almost have to start thinking about, hey, maybe Towns isn't here too much longer.
Well, that's where record might not be the key indicator with this side. I think their record will be better, like I said. But if Towns has a good bounce back season, he has health, and more importantly, up here, he's much more content. He's much happier with the situation. That's something to build on. If it's something where he's shown that he's not quite the same player athletically, aerobically that he was after COVID, if he's not happy with Finch or his teammates or the situation as a whole, you might have to look at a trade.
All right, that's going to do it for our Minnesota Timberwolves season preview. Make sure to follow Jared on Twitter. That is hey_it's_JP. Myself, Trey Dalbert. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.